This morning, as we told you, it's the big story, and our very special guest is the Director of Elections, Mr. Glasspole Brown. Of course, three candidates nominated for the by-election coming up later this month in St. Ann Northeast. And we're talking about Matthew Samuda of the Jamaica Labour Party, Chase Albert Neal of the United Independence Congress, and an independent, David Fritz Anderson, a former PNP member who is going it as an independent candidate. All of these candidates are expressing confidence, and we will see what we will see come the end of this month. I'd like to welcome my guest at this time, Director of Elections, Glasspole Brown. Good morning, Mr. Brown. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. Good morning to you and your listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us about nomination day activities? In terms of how did it go?
Well, we had nomination yesterday, as I said earlier on, in the constituency of St. Ann Northeast. It went fairly smoothly. No incident was reported to us or to the police. So it went fairly well, and we are happy in terms of the orderliness of what happened yesterday. At the end of the exercise, three candidates were duly nominated. You had one, Mr. Matthew Samuda from the Jamaica Labour Party, Mr. Neal from the UIC, United Independent Congress, which is also a registered party, and you had Mr. Anderson, who is putting on an independent. So we have three candidates who will be contesting the election on the 30th of September.
I know that the People's National Party has not put forward a candidate. Did the activities and the euphoria that normally surrounds nomination day, was it the usual kind of excitement that was created, even with the PNP's absence?
It was similar in the past. Certainly the JLP had their large turnout. The other two parties were somewhat low key, but they in terms of the euphoria from the JLP, mm-hmm. it was at the usual heightened level as in past elections.
Okay. Do you think the absence of the People's National Party might in any way impact voter participation?
In the past, historically, yes, it will. Certainly when both major parties are contending, the interest is much higher, but I'm using historical data. So we anticipate that some amount of dampering of the enthusiasm would take place, but we anticipate that the other three candidates will, as best as possible, seek to bring out their supporters on the day, and we hope that persons will turn out on the 30th.
Now, nomination day is behind us. What happens between now and election day, which is going to be September 30? In terms of your office, your preparation, your organization, what is going on in these this week and a half or so?
All right, what we do now, having completed nomination day, we'll move to another phase. This phase now includes the final preparation. Now that we know the nominees, who are the nominees, we can now begin to print our ballots, begin to print the voters list, begin to train our workers. We have identified our workers already. We have identified all the polling locations. Incidentally, there are going to be 146 polling stations open on election day. We have established or identified our counting center. We are now in discussion with the police, security forces, etc. So we have started the second phase, and a number of things will be happening over the next week and a half, 2 weeks, prior to the election.
We always hear about the list and the list of those who can participate in the election. Do you think that there'll be any contention whatsoever in terms of the registration list?
Well, the list that will be used is the list that was published in June, and persons who are in that constituency or who are registered in that constituency can check the list to ensure that their names are on it. And if they have any query, they can go to our offices. They can in the constituency, which is in St. Anne's Bay, or call us at the head office, and we'll rectify whatever issue there is. But the point is that the list that will be used is the list that was published in June this year.
Okay. Now, Mr. Brown, talk to us now about on the day of the election. What goes on? What is the expected timeline for voting in terms of voting hours? Polls close at what time on election day? What are you expecting of the general public who are going out to vote? Walk us through that process.
What will happen on the 30th? All polling stations should be open or will be open. I'll give that commitment by 7 a.m. And the voting process will continue from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. At 5 p.m., we'll have what is known as the close of the polls. However, if you are in the line at 5 p.m. at the polling station, you'll be allowed to complete the process. So the last person in the line at 5 p.m. will be allowed to vote. After, what will happen is that the electors who will be part of the process will come to the polling station, present their voter ID card. If they don't have their voter ID card, as long as their name is on the list, they are registered elector in Centre and North East, they will be allowed to vote, even with or without the card. But I can just pause in the sense that I urge persons who have not yet collected their renewed voter ID card to do so now. We think we have in excess of 3,000 cards still sitting in offices in St. Ann Bay. I would just ask and urge persons who have not yet collected their renewed ID card to do so. With their renewed ID card, it will assist the process. We allow our workers to process you much faster than if you don't have your ID card. So what will happen? The voting process will continue during the course of the day. We close at 5, then we go into a phase which is known as the close of poll activities, which include a preliminary count at the polling station in front of the candidate agent, guided by our workers. And then after that, the ballot box is transported under security guard to the counting center in St. Ann Bay, and then the returning officer will then do his preliminary count and issue our preliminary results. Hopefully we get that out by 6:15, 6:30.
Okay. How many polling stations are there, and what's if you should have 100% participation, what would be the count in terms of electors?
All right, we'll be up 146 polling stations.
Okay, that's a lot.
Will be open. On the voters list, we have registered a little bit over 40,000. I think it's 40,346 persons are registered electors in that constituency.
Persons turning up to vote, are there any restrictions in terms of can they travel with any paraphernalia? Is there any restriction in terms of attire? Any of those that you care to mention?
Well, the law prohibits any sort of campaigning on the day itself. So therefore, we urge persons not to wear anything that suggests or give an indication of campaigning for a particular candidate or party. You're not allowed to use your cell phone in the polling station. So as you enter the polling station, we encourage you to turn it off or put it away. It's a breach if you use that phone to take, for example, take up a photograph of your ballot when you mark it. That's a breach. So you won't be allowed to use it in the polling station. So the main restriction to us is the use of your cell phone, and also no campaigning should be done inside the polling location on the day itself.
Any restrictions in terms of the colors that persons can wear? Just asking.
No, there's no restriction. As I said, as long as you can wear any party color, but it should not be any sort of campaigning message on the attire.
Okay. Very important points you're making. Now, I know that there's the possibility, Mr. Brown, that there might be other by-elections called based on what the Prime Minister has said. Are you at a state of readiness? Should those be announced anytime soon?
Given the announcement of the Prime Minister, we have started our preparation. We normally, given the law, we normally anticipate that anything can happen for any eventuality. And therefore, in terms of the possibility of those by-elections be called early or soon, we have started our preparation. We have created our budget. So a number of priorities things that have been put in place in eventually that the Prime Minister do call those by-elections.
All right. And just before you go, your final thoughts that you want to share with our listeners.
Just to say to the certain electors in the Centre and Northeast, we urge you to be a part of the process. We be preparing for 100% turnout. So if we have a low turnout, it means that we'd have expended a significant amount of resource to a certain extent. We could put it this way: wasted resource. So we urge persons, electors in that constituency to be a part of the process. You are selecting somebody to represent you in Parliament. And so we asked you, and we urge you to be a part of the process. And just a reminder again, if you have not yet collected your ID card, try and do so.
All right. Glasspole Brown, Director of Elections, thank you for your time and for the information you shared. Have a good day.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right. All the best.